Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Turning 18 was supposed to feel like a milestone. A moment where you cross that invisible line between being treated like a kid and being seen as an adult. I'd been looking forward to my 18th birthday for months. I'd even counted down the days on a little calendar in my room. I'm not a spoiled person. I didn't expect an extravagant party. I just wanted to spend the day with my friends and family, eat cake, open a few gifts, and feel like people were happy for me. My family is small. Just me, my mom, my dad, and my younger sister Chloe, who's 16. Chloe has always been delicate, not in a physical sense, but emotionally. Every tiny inconvenience is a crisis. Every argument is the end of the world. And my parents, for as long as I can remember, have treated her like she's made of glass. She gets whatever she wants, whenever she wants it, and if something upsets her, the whole house rearranges itself to accommodate her mood. I've lost count of the number of times plans were changed, trips were canceled, or the spotlight was yanked away from me because Chloe was having a rough day. When I was younger, I thought that was just how things worked. But as I got older, I realized this wasn't normal. It was favoritism, plain and simple. Still, I thought maybe my 18th birthday would be different. It's a once-in-a-lifetime milestone, right? Surely, even my parents could set aside Chloe's dramatics for one day to celebrate me. I was wrong. The morning of my birthday started out normal enough. I woke up early because I was excited, put on the new dress I'd bought for the occasion, and even helped decorate the dining room with balloons and a banner. My parents had promised a small gathering that evening, just family, and a few of my close friends. I'd picked out the cake flavor weeks in advance. Around noon, Chloe came home from school early. Her eyes were red, and she slammed her bedroom door so hard the frame rattled. My mom went straight to her room, followed by my dad a few minutes later. I didn't think much of it at first. Probably just another teenage meltdown. An hour later, my parents came into the living room where I was setting the table. My mom looked awkward. My dad was avoiding eye contact. "Sweetheart," my mom began, "we're going to have to postpone your birthday dinner." I froze. "What? Why?" My mom sighed like she was the one being inconvenienced. "Your sister's very upset right now. She just found out that the boy she's had a crush on for months is dating her friend. She's devastated. We need to be here for her tonight." I laughed, thinking she was joking. "You're canceling my birthday because Chloe's crush likes someone else." "It's not just that," my dad chimed in. "She's feeling betrayed by her friend. This is a big emotional blow for her. She's too upset for us to have a party right now." I was speechless. Chloe's high school drama had somehow outweighed my 18th birthday, a milestone I'd been waiting for my whole life. I asked if we could just go ahead with it and comfort Chloe later, but my mom said that wouldn't be fair to her. "We can reschedule your celebration for next weekend when things have calmed down." I went to my room, sat on my bed in my dress, and stared at the wall. The decorations were still up, the cake still in the fridge, but the day I'd been looking forward to had been taken away. Just like every other time Chloe had an emotional flare-up. That's when I did something I'd never done before. I called my grandmother. My grandma, my mom's mother, has always been my safe place. She's the one who came to my school plays, helped me with homework, and remembered my little likes and dislikes when no one else seemed to. I told her what happened, trying to keep my voice steady. But by the end of the story, I was crying. She was quiet for a moment, then said, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. Be ready." When she pulled into the driveway, I grabbed my purse and ran out. My mom tried to stop me, asking where I was going, and I just said, "Out." I didn't know her more than that. Grandma took me to a cozy little restaurant. We ordered my favorite meal, had dessert, and she insisted the staff sing happy birthday to me. She even handed me a small wrapped box, a beautiful necklace with my birthstone. I felt more celebrated in that 1 hour than I had in years. The next morning, Grandma called me and said, "Get dressed. We're going to your house to pack your things." I was confused. Pack for what? "You're moving in with me," she said simply. When we got to my parents' house, they were in the living room. My mom looked irritated. My dad just looked tired. My grandmother didn't waste time. "I'm here to get my granddaughter's things. She's coming to live with me. I've had enough of your blatant favoritism. Yesterday was the last straw, canceling her 18th birthday to comfort Chloe over some silly teenage boy. Shame on you." My mom's jaw dropped. "Mom, you're overreacting." "No," Grandma cut her off sharply. "I'm not. I've watched you prioritize Chloe's every whim over your other daughter's happiness for years. I kept my mouth shut, thinking it wasn't my place. But it's my place now. And just so you know, tomorrow I'll be going to see my lawyer to change my will. Everything I have will go to her. Not you, not Chloe. Her. Maybe now you will understand what it felt like for your daughter always to feel left behind." You could have heard a pin drop. My mom went pale. My dad shifted uncomfortably but didn't say a word. Chloe, who had come out of her room by now, looked like she'd bitten into something sour. We went to my room and started packing. My mom hovered in the doorway, saying, "You're tearing this family apart. This is manipulative. You're letting her pit you against us." Grandma didn't even look up. "I'm holding you accountable. Something you should have done for yourself a long time ago." I moved into Grandma's that afternoon. For the first time, I felt chosen. Not as a second thought, not as an afterthought, but as someone worth putting first. It's been 3 weeks since then, and now my mom is calling me daily, not to apologize, but to demand that I fix this. She says I need to convince Grandma to change her mind about the will, because it's unfair to cut the whole family out over one bad decision. She says Chloe is traumatized by what happened, and that I'm being cruel by letting this go on. I told her flatly that I'm not telling Grandma what to do with her own estate. My mom snapped that I'm enjoying this and milking it for all it's worth. Maybe I am enjoying finally being prioritized, but I didn't ask for any of this. All I ever wanted was to be treated equally. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for not trying to convince my grandmother to change her will after my parents' favoritism finally caught up to them? Not the a-hole and OP's grandmother is a queen. She didn't just take OP out for dinner. She took a stand after years of watching OP's parents trample all over OP for Chloe's sake. This wasn't one bad decision on their part. It was a pattern of favoritism and neglect. Canceling OP's 18th birthday for a teenage crush meltdown is beyond ridiculous, but the fact that they're still defending it, instead of apologizing, is all the proof anyone needs that OP is better off out of that house. They're only panicking now because their golden child pipeline to Grandma's inheritance just got cut off. And now let's hear community's opinion. Honestly, the will change is just karma in action. For years, they've shown you that you rank below Chloe in their priorities. Now that there's a tangible consequence, something they can't just brush off, suddenly you're the villain. They didn't care when you were hurt, embarrassed, or excluded. They only care now because they might lose money and property. That's not love, that's greed. And as for you fixing it? Absolutely not. You didn't create this mess. They did, by making it crystal clear to everyone in the family who actually matters to them. Not the a-hole, and I hope you never feel guilty for a second. Moving in with your grandmother is the best decision you could have made. She's clearly seen the pattern for a long time and was just waiting for a breaking point to step in. And for your mom to say you're enjoying this? Yeah, you know what. Maybe you are, and you deserve to. You've spent your life in your sister's shadow, and now you're finally in a place where someone is celebrating you instead of sidelining you. Don't ever apologize for that. Your parents should be apologizing to you, not the other way around. The manipulation from your mom is insane. She's trying to make you responsible for her losing out on the will when she's the one who pushed Grandma over the edge. She doesn't want reconciliation. She wants control. If she truly cared about fixing the relationship, she'd start with a sincere apology for your ruined birthday, years of favoritism, and emotional neglect. Instead, she's making it about money and playing the victim. Stay strong, stay with Grandma, and let them stew in the consequences they created. For some background, my boyfriend and I have been dating for 2 years, and we're in a very happy and healthy relationship. For the most part, we communicate very well, and he's such a sweet man. I love him so much, and we've never had any relationship troubles. No fights, and no petty arguments. I don't even know if this could be considered a fight, but I got upset and I may have reacted a little bit harshly. When I was a kid, my mom passed away when I was 8 years old from terminal lung cancer. I have no siblings and my dad was a bit absent after my mom's death. So I was alone at home for a lot of my teen years and spent my other free time at friends' houses or at school. When my mom died, she left me a diamond necklace my dad had bought her years and years before I was born. I cherished this necklace every day and wore it all the time. I took it to get cleaned, made sure it was in perfect condition, etc., for 13 years. Once I met my boyfriend, I was still wearing the necklace. He had never asked about it until a week ago when we were cuddling and talking. He was kissing me when he pulled away and took the necklace into his fingers. He looked at the diamond and asked me if I had bought the necklace myself. He knew my mom had passed away, of course, so I explained that it was my favorite thing of hers and that I always wear it because it reminds me of her. I took off the necklace and put it around his neck, and we fell asleep. The next day, he told me that on Wednesday, he'd be going to visit his sister because she'd had a miscarriage and was really upset because of it. I told him I'd stay home because I had had bad sinuses at that point and didn't want to be there sick and make anything worse. He left and returned on Thursday. The necklace wasn't on him. I pointed it out, of course. He told me he'd given it to his sister because she'd lost her baby. I immediately started crying, and I know this is harsh, but I yelled at him. I told him that I'd never said he could give that to her, and that it was the last thing my mom had given me. I told him he needed to get it back from her, and I didn't care if she was upset about it. He said that he was just trying to be nice to her, and I said that he doesn't get to give things like that away, even to his sister, and that he should have asked me. I got it back yesterday, and I'm wondering if maybe I was too hard on him, and I should have been nicer. He seemed hurt for the whole weekend and didn't talk to me as much. Am I the a-hole? Oh my God, that's unforgivable. Seriously. He'd have some leniency if he had no idea. But he gave your dead mother's necklace, which you had been wearing for 13 years, to his sister. He gave it away. Beyond a red flag. Talk to him or get out. That's a sign he has no respect for your mother or what's yours. My wife and I are planning a 10-year vow renewal for next weekend. This is something she has wanted for a while because the entire wedding day ended up being about my mom, 50 female, and we felt like it was just a show for my parents. We live in my parents' guest house, which affords us a nice bit of privacy. But the downside is my wife and mom don't get along. I feel bad because my wife is an angel and deserves so much more than my mom for her mother-in-law. The other day while I was at work, they got into a fight, which is not uncommon. My mom recently got a ring from my dad, and my wife is kind of jealous. So they have been on edge with each other. They were bickering, and my wife called my mom something offensive. So my mom, who was in the pool, kicked water in my mom's face. My wife is a strong woman and doesn't handle disrespect, though I'm aware she handled this wrong. She stole my mom's skin bleach, hair product, and 2 expensive steaks my parents were going to have that night. When my dad came home, my mom was crying. She was raised with a lot of internalized R, and not having the hair products triggered her. My dad let himself into our house with his master key and stole the vow renewal dress. They both think this vow renewal is silly and don't get why she would want to wear a wedding gown anyway. We wear red in our culture, and she did the first time. I returned my mom's beauty products, and there isn't anything I can do about the steak because she put it on the driveway, heat wave, but I paid them back for it. I don't know what to do because when I talk to my dad, he gets smug and is like, "Oh, so you don't like your wife crying either?" I don't want to involve the police because my parents could sue us in retaliation for some prior breached agreements. My wife is beside herself. She is a stay-at-home mother with 3 kids, and she deserves this special day. I don't know how to reason with my dad, or maybe if I should go through my mom. Honestly, what advice can one possibly give you? None of you are innocent. You all sound like terrible, entitled, covetous little monsters. You pretend this question is about adult mental health issues, but it's not. None of you are deserving of anything, except the respect you seem hell-bent on denying one another. None of your behavior here is anything but mutual and escalating between grown-ups acting like toddlers. None of you adults are worthy of sympathy. My heart breaks for your children, who are witnessing the adults treat one another this way and deserve so much better. I don't know how you get the dress back. I know you should move out of your parents' home. Think of what you're teaching your children about family and respect. You need to do better. Your wife needs to do better. A 35-year-old who is jealous over someone else's gift and steals shampoos out of her mother-in-law's bathroom is no angel. Even if you and your parents won't, if you and your wife and your parents cannot do better than this while living together, then you absolutely must live apart. This is so much bigger of a problem than a dress and a ring and some shampoo. You are perpetuating A and training your children to accept A and to A others. I, 29 female, had been with my ex-husband Daryl, 32 male, for 10 years, married 4 of those. Right after we got married, Daryl got an amazing new job that he excelled at immediately. He talked about how cool his job was and how much he liked his coworkers. The environment was very young and hip. I was happy for him. He worked there about 2 years before Christine, 26 female, was hired on to be a second in command, basically. I met Christine at a work function and liked her a lot. She was smart and pretty, but very quiet and extremely introverted. So, since I didn't know all Daryl's coworkers that well either, I tried to be nice to her at the many social events to bring her out of her shell. She was engaged, and her fiancé was like the nicest guy I'd ever met. Once she relaxed, we got along great. But eventually, she'd always do something kind of odd, like leave a party without telling anyone, or go sit alone in the backyard for hours. I, however, am extremely extroverted and love a good party, so I'd let her be when she withdrew. Soon enough, she'd timidly ask if we could have a girls' night or a dinner. We did both, and on Halloween, she crashed on my couch after we talked all night. She bought me a Funko Pop of one of my favorite TV characters, completely unprompted. So this whole time, Christine and I are becoming friends. I can tell it kind of bothers Daryl. I ask him if I'm crossing work boundaries, which is odd since Christine is the one who kept making plans. And if he wants me not to be too close with Christine, and he said no, it's fine. He has a single blow-up at me after one of our sleepovers because he heard us talking about a funny incident early on in Daryl and my relationship, and I agreed to keep him out of it since he was technically her boss. Meanwhile, her husband pulls me aside to tell me that Christine loves me so much. She's so happy to have finally found a friend because it's so hard for her to make friends. Anyway, 2 more years go by, during which we attend Christine's wedding, where Daryl is paying an alarming amount of attention to her, a lot of awes at her behavior, and an extremely personal wedding gift. And I notice some more weird behavior from Daryl as time passes. He constantly crap talks about her husband. Why did she marry him? He's so stupid, etc. And is starting to be meaner and meaner to me. S drops off the radar completely. All the while, we're spending all our time together, so I don't think anything's wrong except perhaps he's overworked. I never suspect Christine of a thing. I'm an idiot. Long story short, the holidays roll around, and 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, he asks me for a divorce. I was utterly blown away. We'd had one fight about him working too much, and no, I wasn't happy, but I figured it was just a rough patch. Daryl left without giving me any second chances or allowing me to fix anything. 2 days later, Christine files for divorce. I told myself no, there was no way. I had even texted her asking if she thought anything was up with Daryl, and she said no. But she didn't say anything else. Suddenly, the silence made sense. She's a ducking coward. She knew what she'd done. I kept waiting for them to prove me wrong, but surprise. The second the divorce was final, they moved in together. They'd just been waiting. Now she's pregnant. They're buying a house. It's been less than 6 months since he left, let alone since the divorce was finalized. I'm not even hurt at this point. I'm over the heartbreak. I don't want Daryl anymore. He's obviously a total garbage person, and so is Christine, and they deserve each other. But I'm so ducking angry. Yes, I unleashed hell on Daryl via text and phone a lot before the divorce was finalized. I let him have it. I held nothing back, including what I thought of Christine. He maintained the whole time that she had nothing to do with our divorce and that I was crazy, one of his favorite phrases. I knew better, obviously. But she ducking cozied up to me. She pushed a friendship on me that was probably inappropriate given her relationship to Daryl in the office. What was her point? When we hung out, it's not like I let them alone long enough for anything to happen. Most of the girls' nights were at her house. I'm certain, however, when it went down, it was at the office. All those late nights that eventually piled on. I want to absolutely obliterate her. She's gone radio silent since he left me, and I haven't said a word to her. I even have a fairly decent social media following where I could absolutely ruin her. But, and let's be clear, I won't stoop to that level of petty. But can't I be a little petty? The only reasons I've held back is because 1. I don't want to look bad, and 2. I always knew her to be so delicate and easily shaken, so I was afraid to say anything too mean. But I swing back and forth between that, and use that to your advantage, girl. I know, take the high road, move on and live a better life. You're better off without them, blah blah blah. I've already said this to myself, and thus far listened. I guess what I need help with is that I feel more betrayed by her than my ex-husband. Why did she have to be such a snake? Christine could have easily had an affair with him without involving me to such a degree. Then she'd just be some faceless jerk I never had to think about, let alone know intimately. How do I deal? Am I handling this right? Is there anything I could say to her, even something remotely polite, that would let her know how much she hurt me? Honestly, the most effective way to do this is to pointedly ignore her. And if you want, let your following know with a wink and a nod that she's a pariah, without ever saying a word. Should we invite Christine? I mean, if you want her to lie to your face and duck your husband, go for it. You do you. 2 years ago, my family and I found out that my dad was cheating on my mom and had a mistress. My mom was absolutely devastated and took it extremely hard since they had been together for over 2 decades. The fact that his mistress was also a decade younger than her probably made her feel worse. They ended up getting divorced, and throughout the process, my dad continued to see his mistress. They actually live together now in a new house that my dad moved into after his cheating came to light. I know it was my mom that he cheated on, but I also felt very betrayed by him, and the fact that he went on to stay and live with the person he cheated with makes me feel like he has no remorse. I have not spoken nor seen my dad since he moved out. He has tried to reach out to me, but I haven't returned the favor. I know it's better to forgive, but I just can't look or think about him without feeling disgusted and upset. I know he's my dad, but I just can't. Yesterday, I got a message on Facebook from his mistress. I couldn't believe it was her. I actually stopped in the middle of the street. She wrote a long message, basically saying that my dad was very sad over how our relationship had become, and that he misses me terribly, especially now that holiday season has arrived. She wrote that he had told her about how close him and I were when I was younger. She said that he would love it if I would try to reach out to him or visit him sometime soon. My dad and I did have a great bond growing up, and I miss that, but I don't know. One moment I'm thinking whether I'm being unreasonable and dragging this on for too long since it's been 2 years now. I have to move on at some point, right? But even if I do meet him, I don't think I'd be able to look him in the eye or even be able to have a conversation without it being awkward. I just don't have any respect for him, and I know that must sound awful since I'm his daughter. My closest friend told me that life is too short and that at the end of the day, he is my father. Should I try to forgive him and reconnect with him? 1. Yes, it is true that you need to move on, but doesn't mean you need to include your dad into the moving on part. It might take years if you even reach that point. Be on your own timeline. 2. No matter what you do, the relationship will never get back to where it was. 3. Yes, he is still your dad, but that doesn't give him a free pass for crappy behavior. 4. 3 is a crowd. The mistress involvement has never been required or desired. Guess she never learned that. If you do want to build a relationship with him, you don't need to have a relationship with her. You can make it a condition that you never have to be around her. Update. I ended up contacting my dad. I called him and told him about the message I received from his mistress. He said he didn't know she sent those messages, but that it is true that he deeply misses me. I asked if we could meet, and I told him that we could go for coffee, which he agreed to. When we ended up meeting, it was very awkward and tense. We exchanged a stiff hug before sitting down. He began to ask how I'd been and so on, and the first 30 minutes went all right. But, of course, the universe just has to be one big cosmic joke, because why else would his freaking mistress show up to the cafe out of nowhere? According to her, she just happened to be nearby and saw us through the window and decided to say hello. I honestly could not comprehend what was happening. It was one of those situations where something is so crazy and unexpected, you actually cannot believe it is happening to you. My dad seemed surprised, but in a good way. He was smiling and talked to her all normal in front of me when it was just supposed to be him and I. I froze and felt like I couldn't think of anything. I'm one of those people who react after something happens instead of during the moment. So I ended up just sitting there in silence when she took a seat next to him. My dad tried to continue the conversation, but it just got so awkward and quiet that we kind of silently agreed to end our coffee meeting. He tried giving me a hug as we were leaving, but I just power walked away from them, saying a quick bye. I was honestly still shocked when I got home, but that quickly turned into anger. I do not believe that bogus story of hers, and the fact that she thought she could sell it to me makes me feel very insulted. I do not know if she just followed him there or if my dad was in on it, but either way, I am extremely disappointed in how he handled it. This was the first time we'd seen each other in 2 years. Why would he not want it to just be him and I? I wrote him a long message saying how disrespected I felt by the entire situation, and it felt like a setup. I told him that if he really cared about our relationship, he shouldn't have allowed his mistress to sit down and try to be a part of what could have been the first step in rebuilding our relationship. I finished the message by saying that I do not want him to contact me again as long as his mistress is in the picture. That might seem very extreme or unfair, but that's honestly how I feel. Your dad 100% knew she was going to show up, and he is lying to you about the message. My guess is that he was whining about not seeing you, and she offered to reach out. He wants you to pretend that what he did was okay, and that he's a good guy. And to do that, he has to act like it's perfectly fine for his mistress to be his girlfriend and hang out with you.